Okay, so now we have user input, we then process it to make sure we take out anything that could be super dangerous, and now we're just printing whatever the user has sent through. So I'm going to comment this out, and then we need to look at what we are dealing with down here. So I've got set up Twitter. And to set up Twitter, we are going to need a PHP wrapper, basically a library of skills or a library of tools that allow us to engage with Twitter's API without us having to hard code them all. And to do that, we're going to use something called twitterOAuth.com. It's the most popular PHP library for use with the Twitter OAuth REST API. And if you don't know anything about web coding or PHP, basically this means that it's going to use the only way that we can authenticate with Twitter, really, using this. So what you're going to do is you are going to go to the manual page and download the latest release. So in here, I'm just going to get the source code. I'm going to show in folder. I'm then going to extract that folder. And when it opens, I'm going to copy and paste this into my working folder. So I'm going to go back to PHP for video and paste in Twitter OAuth 1.0.1. So now you can see in brackets, it's automatically updated with this for me. What we need to do is we need to tell PHP that we're going to need the library from inside of here. And back in our reference, we can see the old school way of doing it is that we tell PHP to require the Twitter OAuth autoload PHP file. And then we're going to tell it to use something called Abraham Twitter OAuth. Abraham here being the person that's made this Twitter OAuth. So first thing we're going to do is inside our Twitter data PHP, we're going to say require speech marks, and then we're going to say Twitter OAuth -1.0.1 / autoload.php. And now really usefully, this will it will automatically call all the other requires that we need. So basically, once we've got this line in and this folder in place, it will automatically update with everything it needs. And then we're going to say use, just going to go back over to the website, and I'm just going to copy this line here. And we're just going to say use Abraham Twitter OAuth. And these two lines here tell it to go inside this library, set up all the functions, and then it tells us which terms we can and can't use. And now we're going to need to gather the authentication data. So we're actually going to need something that allows us to authenticate with Twitter. And for this, we're going to need 4 keys. We're going to need a consumer key, we're going to need a consumer secret, our access token, and our access token secret. So I'm going to copy these 4 titles, and again, I'm going to paste them in. So we're going to need these 4 variables. Now, normally you would just set this equal to inside speech marks, whatever your long code is. And you can get that long code by registering at developer.twitter.com. And inside here, once you've set up an account and you've been approved, you can then go to your apps and you can get various details for each of those apps. Okay, so when I'm in here, I'm going to create an app. I'm going to say Twitter PHP tutorial. Okay, so now that I've created the app, I can go onto my keys and token. It'll give me some consumer keys, and it can also let me generate access keys. And I'm going to delete this app the second that this video is done, so don't worry about trying to use these. And I'm literally just going to copy and paste these into my brackets. So I'm going to do speech, paste. And these are super important that you keep them safe because they allow anyone to control Twitter via your account that you made the development app on. So in this case, you could control the program for people Twitter page if I didn't change or revoke these API keys. It means that you could literally use them in your program and pretend your program for people on Twitter. Not really what I want. Okay, so now we've set up our 4 tokens. We need to actually authenticate with Twitter. And back on the Twitter OAuth site, they show us exactly how to do that. So we're going to make a new variable called connection, and it's going to be a new object of the Twitter OAuth library that uses our 4 keys to go and ask Twitter for some connection. So I'm just going to paste that in here. So we make a variable called connection, and we say make a new version of the Twitter OAuth object using our consumer key. Make sure you add the $, consumer key, consumer secret, access token, and access token secret. So the 4 that I've got here. And then before we run a query, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we can establish a connection with Twitter using all this information. And if we can do that, then we know we're in business. And to do that, there's a basic query that we can send to our new connection called get account verify credentials. And that'll basically return all the information Twitter has on the signed in account. In this case, my Program for People account. So if I copy this and paste it in, we can see we're making a new variable called content, and content is going to use our connection, go inside of its object and send a get query using account / verify credentials as its send command. Now content will return an object inside PHP, so we're going to use the command print r rather than echo, and I'm going to say content. So now I'm going to save that, go to my PHP. I'm actually going to refresh my server because I'm going to need to take my PHP data and the Twitter OAuth folder that we added. We give this a few minutes to finish, depending on how quick your internet is. There we go. So I've got the directory listing is successful. So now I can go back to my web page, refresh it. I'm just going to submit. I'm not actually using a value. And you can see here that we get a printed amount of data. If you go to settings, if you go to more tools and then developer tools, it will show you a much nicer breakdown of the PHP object that this has returned here. So this is really hard to read in raw text, but we can see that all the information about Program for People is listed here. My actual username as shown to you, my @ handle, where I say I'm based, and then my description, so my bio. So already you can see the amount of data that we can get, and all I've done is I've asked Twitter to return the data that I've got it. So the fact that this returns something shows me that I know we are ready to go.